The crystal crown of Andromeda Prime shattered against the marble floor as Queen Elena stumbled backward, her human reflexes too slow to catch the priceless artifact that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia. The Zephyrian delegation froze in their ceremonial positions, their blue-scaled faces darkening to indigo with shock. "Your Majesty," Lord Commander Vex whispered, his voice carrying the weight of diplomatic catastrophe. Elena dropped to her knees, gathering the fractured pieces with trembling hands. Each shard held the soul essence of past rulers, their consciousness trapped within the crystalline matrix. Without the crown, the peace treaty between 7 star systems would crumble. War would consume billions. "I can fix this," she breathed, her fingers finding the largest fragment. Ambassador Thexna of the Zephyrian Empire stepped forward, her scaled talons clicking against the floor. "The sacred crown cannot be touched by unworthy hands. The soul bonds will reject any repair attempt." Elena's military training kicked in. She had rebuilt plasma engines under enemy fire, rewired navigation systems in the void of space. A crown was just another machine. "Then we're all dead anyway," she said, pulling a micro-welder from her dress pocket. The court gasped. Zephyrian honor guards reached for their weapons, but Texna raised one clawed hand. Her ancient eyes studied Elena with predatory interest. "Proceed, human. Let us witness your failure." Elena activated the welder, its blue flame casting dancing shadows across the throne room. She had memorized the crown's structure during the ceremony briefing, noting stress points and energy flow patterns. Her hands moved with surgical precision, fusing molecular bonds that had been severed by the fall. The first piece connected with a soft chime. Whispers of ancient consciousness stirred within the crystal, responding to her touch with confusion rather than rejection. "Impossible!" Thexna hissed. Elena continued working, sweat beading on her forehead as she channeled her consciousness into the repair. The crown's neural pathways accepted her presence, recognizing something familiar in her determined focus. Each connection strengthened the next, creating a cascade of acceptance through the crystalline network. The final shard slicked into place with a resonant tone that shook the chamber's walls. Golden light erupted from the crown, brighter than any previous awakening in recorded history. The soul essence of dead emperors and queens blazed to life, their combined presence forming a choir of approval that echoed through dimensions. Elena lifted the restored crown above her head, its weight somehow familiar in her grasp. "The crown accepts you," Thexna whispered, her voice cracking with awe. "But such acceptance requires marriage," Elena finished, the word torn from her throat as ancient knowledge flooded her mind. The crown's neural link had bonded permanently with her consciousness, creating an unbreakable connection that could only exist between true mates. The chamber erupted in chaos. Human dignitaries shouted protests while Zephyrian nobles fell to their knees. Elena stood frozen, the crown pulsing with warmth against her palms, its power flowing through her veins like liquid starlight. Ambassador Thexna moved closer, her predatory grace transformed into something deeper. "The crown has chosen. You are now bound to our empire's fate." "I was sent here to sign a treaty," Elena said, her voice steady despite the maelstrom of emotion churning in her chest. "Not to become a bride? The crown recognizes no such distinctions. You have heard its call and answered. You have proven yourself worthy through action, not birthright." Texna's scaled features softened with something approaching vulnerability. "And I find myself honored by its choice." Elena felt the weight of 7 star systems pressing down on her shoulders. The crown's ancient wisdom whispered through her thoughts, showing her glimpses of possible futures. War if she refused, peace if she accepted. Billions of lives hanging on her decision. The treaty becomes irrelevant. "A marriage bond between our species creates stronger ties than any document." Thexna extended one clawed hand. "But the choice remains yours. The crown may compel recognition, but it cannot force love." Elena studied the alien woman before her, seeing past the scales and talons to the keen intelligence beneath. Thexna had risked everything by allowing the repair attempt, trusting a human to handle her people's most sacred artifact. "How does this work exactly?" Elena asked, surprised by her own curiosity. "The crown will guide us." Its consciousness holds the memories of 1,000 royal weddings across species and cultures. We need only speak our acceptance before witnesses. The throne room had fallen silent, every diplomat and noble hanging on their words. Elena felt history pivoting around this moment, the fate of civilizations balanced on her next breath. She looked into Thexna's eyes, seeing hope flickering behind the alien features. This woman had spent decades building bridges between their species, working tirelessly for peace. Perhaps their union would accomplish what treaties and negotiations had failed to achieve. If I agree, Elena said slowly, what happens to Earth's sovereignty? To humanity's place in the galaxy? It becomes equal to ours. Shared power, shared responsibility. Your people and mine, united under one crown. Thexna's voice carried absolute conviction. The age of species isolation ends today. Elena nodded once, decision crystallizing with startling clarity. She placed the crown on her head, feeling its weight settle like destiny. Elena's vision exploded with light as the crown's neural pathways synchronized with her brainwaves. Consciousness from a dozen dead empresses flowed through her mind, their memories becoming her own. She saw the rise and fall of star systems, the delicate balance of interspecies politics, the terrible price of war between civilizations. I accept, she whispered, the words torn from her soul rather than her throat. The crown blazed with golden fire, its light casting rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. Ancient Zephyrian marriage protocols activated, transmitted directly into Elena's consciousness through the neural link. She understood now why the crown had chosen her, not for her royal blood, but for her engineer's mind that could bridge the gap between organic and crystalline consciousness. Thexna stepped forward, her movements graceful despite the ceremonial armor that marked her as the Empire's highest-ranking military commander. Before the crown and witnesses, I claim you as mate bond and co-ruler. Elena felt the words resonate through her bones. Carried by harmonics that existed beyond human hearing, the crown translated them into a dozen languages simultaneously, ensuring everyone present understood the magnitude of what was unfolding. I accept the claim, Elena replied, the formal response rising unbidden from the crown's stored knowledge, and offer my own in return. The exchange triggered a cascade of energy that rippled outward from the throne room. Across the galaxy, Zephyrian settlements felt the tremor as their ancient crown acknowledged a new ruler. Human colonies registered the shift through quantum entanglement arrays, their scientists scrambling to understand what had just occurred. Lord Commander Vex stepped forward, his weathered face pale with shock. Your Majesty, Earth's government hasn't authorized. Earth's government no longer has jurisdiction over me, Elena interrupted, the crown's authority lending steel to her voice. I am now co-regent of the Zephyrian Empire, and my duty extends beyond any single world. Thexna moved to Elena's side, their height difference forcing the Zephyrian woman to look up slightly. Despite her reptilian features, her expression conveyed unmistakable affection mixed with profound respect. The bond ceremony requires physical contact, Thexna explained, extending her clawed hand palm up. Our neural patterns must synchronize for the crown to recognize the marriage as legitimate. Elena placed her palm against Thexna's, feeling the alien warmth of scaled skin against her own. The crown's energy flowed between them, creating a feedback loop that merged their consciousness at the edges. She experienced flashes of Thexna's memories. Years of diplomatic service, battles fought to protect civilian populations, the lonely weight of command. In return, Thexna gasped as Elena's experiences flooded through the connection. Human determination, the desperate creativity that had allowed her species to reach the stars, the fierce protective instinct that drove her to fix the crown despite impossible odds. You've lost someone, Thexna whispered, her mental voice echoing through the bond. Recently, Elena's throat tightened. My brother, killed in a mining accident on Europa. He was supposed to be here, representing Earth at the ceremony. I came in his place. He would be proud. The certainty in Thexna's mental tone carried absolute conviction. The crown shows me his presence in your memories. His courage lives within you. The bond deepened, their neural patterns aligning with increasing precision. Elena felt her human consciousness expanding to accommodate Zephyrian emotional ranges she had never experienced. Colors became more vivid, sounds carried harmonic undertones that conveyed meaning beyond words, and spatial relationships shifted to accommodate a predator's enhanced peripheral vision. Around them, the court watched in stunned silence as the two women stood joined by currents of visible energy. The crown's light pulsed in rhythm with their synchronized heartbeats, its ancient consciousness celebrating the first successful interspecies royal bonding in recorded history. The physical ceremony, Thexna said aloud, addressing the witnesses while maintaining the mental connection with Elena, requires the exchange of life essence. Are you prepared for permanent transformation? Elena understood now what that meant. The crown would alter her genetics, extending her lifespan to match Zephyrian longevity, while granting her access to their enhanced sensory abilities. She would remain human at her core, but become something more, a bridge between species that had evolved on opposite sides of the galaxy. Do it, she said. Thexna's eyes flashed with golden light as she channeled power through the crown. Elena felt heat coursing through her veins, her DNA rewriting itself at the molecular level. Her vision sharpened until she could see individual dust motes dancing in the air. Her hearing expanded until she could detect conversations taking place 3 chambers away. The transformation completed with a pulse of energy that shattered every glass surface in the throne room. Elena's reflection in the broken mirror showed subtle changes. Her eyes now held flecks of gold that matched the crown's light, and her skin carried a faint luminescence that would mark her as crown-bonded for the rest of her extended life. It is done, Thexna announced, her voice carrying across the cosmos through quantum entanglement. The High Crown of Andromeda Prime recognizes Elena of Earth as co-empress of the Zephyrian Star Empire. Elena felt the weight of 1 trillion subjects settling on her consciousness, their hopes and fears flowing through the crown's vast network. She was no longer just a human engineer who had stumbled into diplomacy. She was a ruler responsible for maintaining peace across 7 star systems. But she was not alone. The political shockwaves began immediately. Elena watched through the throne room's quantum displays as emergency sessions convened on Earth. Zephyrian council worlds erupted in celebration, and neutral species scrambled to understand how this marriage would affect the galactic balance of power. Ambassador Chen from Earth's delegation stormed forward, his face flushed with indignation. This is unprecedented. Queen Elena had no authority to enter into binding agreements without congressional approval. She had every authority, Elena replied, the crown's knowledge of interstellar law flowing through her consciousness. According to the Treaty of Proxima Centauri, signed by Earth's government 50 years ago, any accredited diplomatic representative has full negotiating power in matters of interspecies relations. Chen's jaw worked silently as legal precedents flooded through the quantum link to Earth's legal computers. Elena was right. Technically, legally, unassailably correct. The marriage bond supersedes all previous political arrangements, Thexna added, her clawed hand resting protectively on Elena's shoulder. Our union creates a new nation that exists beyond the boundaries of previous empires. Which means what, exactly? Lord Commander Vex asked, his military mind already calculating tactical implications. Elena felt the answer crystallizing in her enhanced consciousness, drawn from the Crown's vast repository of historical knowledge. It means the Terran-Zephyrian alliance becomes the galaxy's first true interspecies democracy. Human colonies and Zephyrian settlements will have equal representation in our combined government. The throne room erupted in shocked voices as delegates processed the magnitude of the change. This wasn't just a political marriage. It was a complete restructuring of galactic civilization. Through the quantum link, Elena sensed reactions across human space. Some colonies celebrated the protection that alliance with the militaristic Zephyrians would provide. Others protested the loss of species independence. The Crown helped her perceive the emotional undertones of 1 billion different viewpoints simultaneously. The transition must be managed carefully, Thexna said, her mental voice carrying private concern, while her public words remained diplomatically neutral. Some of my people will resist human equality. They have ruled the galaxy for millennia. Elena squeezed her wife's clawed hand, marveling at how natural the gesture felt despite their physiological differences. And some humans will fear Zephyrian dominance. We'll have to prove that partnership works better than conquest. Ambassador Thexna's aide, a young Zephyrian male with silver-tipped scales, approached the throne with visible nervousness. Your Imperial Majesties, we're receiving urgent communications from the Outer Rim. The Void Syndicate has begun mobilizing their fleets. Elena felt ice form in her stomach. The Void Syndicate controlled the galaxy's smuggling networks and had grown rich from conflicts between legitimate governments. Peace between humans and Zephyrians would eliminate their primary income source. How many ships? She asked. 800 confirmed, possibly more hidden in dark space nebulae. The aide's voice carried the clipped precision of military intelligence. They're demanding the marriage be annulled or they'll begin attacking civilian targets. Elena stood, the crown's weight settling more firmly on her head as its combat protocols activated. Ancient battle wisdom from dead warrior queens flooded her consciousness. Tactical knowledge accumulated over centuries of interstellar warfare. They're making a mistake, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated through Zephyrian hearing ranges. They assume we're still the same divided species they've been exploiting. Thexna's eyes blazed with golden fire as her own military instincts responded to the threat. The Crown grants us access to both fleets simultaneously. Human technological innovation combined with Zephyrian strategic doctrine. Elena felt their mental bond deepening, as shared purpose aligned their consciousness. Through the Crown's network, she could perceive the positions of every loyal ship in human and Zephyrian space. The scope of their combined military might was staggering. Send a message to the Void Syndicate, Elena commanded, her voice carrying across the throne room with imperial authority. They have 24 hours to disperse their fleets and return to designated space lanes. After that, they'll face the combined response of two species united. Your Majesty, Lord Commander Vex interrupted. Earth's fleet is still 3 days from optimal tactical positioning. Earth's fleet won't be fighting alone. Elena gestured to the quantum display, which now showed the real-time positions of both human and Zephyrian military assets. We have 6,000 ships at our disposal, with commanders who've been drilling together for months without realizing it. The Crown translated her words into tactical harmonics that Zephyrian officers could interpret as direct neural commands. Across the galaxy, mixed-species battle groups began forming as human and Zephyrian captains found themselves sharing strategic knowledge through quantum-entangled communication arrays. Texna moved to the Command Throne's tactical interface, her claws dancing across displays that reshaped themselves to accommodate both human and Zephyrian operational methods. The Syndicate expects us to negotiate, to offer them concessions for peace. They don't understand that our union changes the fundamental balance of power. Then we educate them, Elena replied, settling into the co-ruler's seat that materialized from the throne's adaptive structure. Deploy the combined fleets in standard defensive formations around core worlds. Let them see what unity looks like. Through the Crown's vast sensory network, Elena felt the moment when Syndicate scouts detected the unprecedented sight of human and Zephyrian ships flying in perfect coordination. Battle formations that had taken decades to develop moved as single organisms, their crews sharing tactical data with impossible synchronization. The alien concept of cooperation made visible in the cold mathematics of military deployment. The Void Syndicate's response came within hours. A complete retreat to neutral space and formal recognition of the new Terran-Zephyrian alliance. Elena smiled, feeling Thexna's satisfaction echoing through their bond. Their accidental marriage had achieved more in one day than decades of separate diplomacy. But deeper challenges awaited, and the Crown's ancient wisdom whispered warnings of trials yet to come. Elena stood on the observation deck of the newest ship in the combined fleet, watching human and Zephyrian engineers work side by side to integrate their technologies. 6 months had passed since her accidental marriage, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The quantum harmonic drives are exceeding projected efficiency by 30%, Thexna reported, joining her at the viewport. Their mental bond had strengthened to the point where they could share complex technical data without speaking aloud. Elena smiled, remembering her first glimpse of Thexna's brilliant tactical mind through the Crown's neural link. Marriage to an alien warrior diplomat was challenging enough without the added complexity of jointly ruling half the galaxy's inhabited systems. Earth's parliament finally ratified the alliance treaty. she said, sharing the quantum transmission she'd received moments earlier. Unanimous approval in both houses. Fear of the Void Syndicate motivated them more than our marriage, Thexna observed with dry humor, but the result remains beneficial. Elena touched the crown, now permanently fused with her neural pathways. Its weight had become as natural as breathing, its consciousness an integral part of her identity. Through its vast network, she could sense the health of worlds, the happiness of populations, the delicate balance of interstellar trade. "The crown is showing me something," she said, her voice distant as ancient memories surfaced, patterns from previous eras when species attempted cooperation. Thexna's scaled features grew serious. "What does it reveal? Success requires more than political treaties and military alliances. Our people must choose unity at the personal level, family by family, individual by individual." Elena gestured toward the viewport, where human and Zephyrian children played together in the ship's artificial gravity fields. Their laughter carried harmonics that resonated in frequencies both species could appreciate the sound of a future neither could create alone. "The next generation won't see our differences as barriers," Elena continued. "They'll see them as strengths. Human innovation amplified by Zephyrian patience, Zephyrian honor guided by human adaptability." Texna's clawed hand found Elena's, their touch still generating the warm energy field that marked their crown-bonded status. "The marriage was an accident," she said softly, "but perhaps accidents can become destiny." Elena felt the truth of those words resonating through the crown's crystal matrix. The ancient consciousness that lived within it had guided countless rulers through impossible choices, but none had faced the challenge of uniting separate species evolved on worlds 1,000 light-years apart. "Your Majesties," Captain Rodriguez interrupted from the command bridge, her voice carrying urgent undertones. "We're receiving a priority signal from the Peripheral Systems Alliance. They're requesting immediate audience." Elena and Thexna exchanged glances, their shared tactical knowledge interpreting the implications immediately. The peripheral systems represented 12 species that had remained neutral throughout human and Zephyrian conflicts, trading with both empires while maintaining careful independence. "Put them through," Elena commanded. The main display shimmered, revealing Ambassador Kethavar of the Crystalline Helix Collective, flanked by representatives from 11 other species, their varied forms, gaseous, metallic, insectoid, energy-based, represented evolution's endless creativity across different worlds. "Imperial Majesties," Kethavar began, his translated voice carrying harmonic undertones of deep respect. "We come seeking guidance in these changing times." Elena felt the crown's diplomatic protocols activating, providing her with cultural context for each species represented. The Helix Collective valued precision above all else. The gaseous Nephi communicated through atmospheric pressure changes. The machine intelligence cyber syndics processed information in quantum bursts that compressed hours of discussion into microseconds. "Speak freely," Thexna responded, her warrior's directness earning approving resonances from several delegations. "The success of your alliance has inspired hope among our peoples," Kethavar continued. "But also uncertainty. If cooperation between humans and Zephyrians can create such prosperity, what becomes of smaller civilizations?" Elena understood immediately. The peripheral species feared absorption into a galactic superstate where their unique qualities would be lost in the vastness of human Zephyrian unity. "Your independence remains absolute," she said, the crown lending authority to her words. "Our alliance exists to preserve diversity, not eliminate it. Each species contributes something irreplaceable to galactic civilization. Then we propose expansion of the model," announced chorus singer Veltar of the Nephi, her words carried by carefully modulated air currents. "Not political union, but cooperative networks that respect sovereignty while enabling unprecedented collaboration." Thexna leaned forward, her predatory instincts recognizing opportunity. "A confederation of equals rather than an empire of subjects." "Precisely." The mechanical voice of Cyber Syndic Prime carried digital harmonics that conveyed excitement. "Shared knowledge, mutual defense, coordinated exploration of the galactic periphery. This was the future its creators had envisioned. Not domination by any single species, but voluntary cooperation between all sentient life in pursuit of shared prosperity." "The crown approves," she said simply. Let us draft the framework for a new galactic civilization. As the conference continued deep into the ship's night cycle, Elena marveled at the path that had led from a broken crown to this moment of unprecedented unity. Her accidental marriage had become the foundation for something larger than any empire, a community of worlds, where difference was strength and cooperation was chosen rather than imposed. The future stretched ahead, vast with possibility and bright with hope. Through the viewport, stars wheeled in patterns that would soon carry the ships of a dozen species working together to explore the galaxy's remaining mysteries. The crown hummed with satisfaction, its ancient duty finally fulfilled. Elena squeezed Thexna's hand and felt their shared smile resonate across the quantum frequencies that bound their souls. The accident had become destiny, the marriage had become revolution, and the future belonged to all of them.